good. There's Louis Riddick and Jeremy Fowler. And Jeremy, tell us the latest on Terrence Steele, a key member of that Cowboys offensive line.
Max, you're right. The news is not good. Torn ACL for Terrence Steele. The MRI today revealed the damage, so he will be out for the season. There's some other damage in that knee as well. So here's how this is going to go. Dallas should be getting Tyron Smith, the future Hall of Fame left tackle, back soon, as early as this week. Now they got Jason Peters, who once upon a time in the early 2000s for the Buffalo Bills played right tackle before becoming an all-pro left tackle. He's prepared to slide to the right side if necessary. So you could have bookend Hall of Famers that are up there in age protecting Dak Prescott.
Louis, are we calling this win a good win or a bad win for the Cowboys? Because I could see a case for either.
Yeah, I think all wins in the NFL are good wins, Max. Thank goodness this isn't a ranking system like it is in college, where it's just about your subjective opinion as far as where teams slot in then as far as the rankings. But that being said, quality of play does mean something. And I'm not just talking about because of who the opponent is. I'm just talking about what you are doing as far as how you are executing. 7 interceptions in the past 5 games for the Dallas Cowboys for Dak Prescott. That's just not going to cut it. That's not good enough, man. It's not good enough against the teams that you're going to wind up having to battle with once you get to the tournament, if you get to the tournament. That's just not going to be good enough. You have to take care of the football better. You're going to have to protect better than what they protect on the edges. And now that Terrence Steele is gone and Jason's going to move to right, maybe Tyron, comes in and he does play left and Tyler moves into left guard. They have to pass protect better. Defensively, they're going to have to stop the run at some point in time. They're going to be able to allow teams to bully them and push them around at the line of scrimmage. There's a lot of things that have to be answered for this football team still, but a W is a W.
So, Mike T, when Cooper Rush was like undefeated, he had that one loss, but while he was doing that, what were you all saying? Like, if they can just do this when Dak gets back, and then you have Dak for those moments in the game where you need him, but they can't get greedy, right? They can't drop Dak back too much or have him try to do too much. Just keep doing this with Cooper Rush plus, which is Dak Prescott. What's going on here? Are they getting a little greedy? Is Dak trying to do too much? Have they lost their way on offense?
I don't think so. Dak Prescott made a couple of bad throws yesterday, and I understand Louis said it was a good one. I actually thought it was a great win. When there's 5:37 to go in the game and your opponent's at the 4-yard line and they're about to ice the game and they do this gives you a lot of confidence that you could survive when your quarterback makes a couple of bad throws, which he did. And this is some great plays here, great team defense by the Cowboys. This was a great goal line stand. And then what do the Cowboys do? They do come back on offense, and they do execute a 98-yard drive, Max. So it's all there for them. And even though Dak didn't have his A game, they still won, and that gives them a lot of confidence.
Let me give you my take, guys. I think the Cowboys are a very good team. I think Jerry Jones is improbably a good GM, right? Like, what are the odds that you buy a football team and you actually wind up an above-average NFL GM? That's not an easy thing to do, right? And he's above average. But I think that because they're America's team and they get so much press, we cover them so much, all of their roster is better known to everyone than other rosters. And we have a tendency in a sport where that's not usually the case. And I don't mean for guys like you guys. I mean for your average fan, that it starts to blow up in people's mind that they're better than they actually are. If not, why every single year can I find you plenty of pundits, former executives, former players, people on TV, people in the press, people on the street who believe the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl? And they never do, right? It seems to me, here we are again. Yes, Micah Parsons makes me feel different too. But guys, otherwise, it feels like a typical Cowboy season. They're a good team, not a great one. And I'm being told constantly they're a great team. And I don't think they are. I think they're a very good team. But I think they're a little bit less than people are saying. Anyone want to, Louis, what do you think? Am I crazy about this?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, if you really break down their roster 1 through 53 and just look at the critical components for any football team, look, they are not on par with Philadelphia. You just cannot objectively say that they are. You can't objectively say that 1 through 5 on their offensive line, they're better than Philadelphia's. It's not even close. You can't say at wide receiver that they have the depth and the versatility that Philadelphia has that they can attack you with. It's not even close. At running back,
Agreed.
You may say that they have a slight advantage. At quarterback, they don't have an advantage. At defensive tackle on the defensive line, they don't have an advantage. And in the secondary, they may be ahead. They have a better thief in terms of Stephon Trayvon Diggs. But other than that, look, this football team, it's good, but it's not on par with the team that should win the NFC.
Mike, I agree. I think their secondary's bad. I'll take the Philadelphia secondary, actually, but yeah.
I think you're crazy from a standpoint. They're a 10-win team, and they've given up the fewest sacks in the NFL, so we could quibble about their offensive line, which has some holes in it, and certainly they have some injuries, but they protect Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush better than anybody else, and they sack the quarterback. They're second in the league with 48 sacks. So when you can do that, you're going to be in every game. They are not a perfect team. Nobody's perfect. But I think they have a chance to stand toe-to-toe with Philly in a one-game season, and that's what the playoffs will be.
Unfortunately, Philly seems to have the clear advantage at quarterback. No, Mike, don't protest. We're going to get to Philly right now. Philly's special season continues. This time, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles beat my beloved New York Football Giants, 48-22. To clinch a playoff spot. Hurts found A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for touchdowns and rushed for one himself. First quarterback in NFL history with 10 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. Now, even with a loss, my Giants hold on to the final wildcard spot. As a matter of fact, if the season ended today, all 4 NFC East teams would make the postseason. This is what we were asking about the AFC West. It's the NFC East. It's the opposite. It's bizarro world. However, that will likely change. There are a handful of divisional matchups left on the schedule this year. Lewis, what is your biggest takeaway from the game? Are you more impressed with the Eagles or disappointed by the Giants?
I'm more impressed with the Eagles. The Eagles don't care who they're playing. They didn't play. Well, let me put it this way. They didn't care who they were playing yesterday. It could have been the Giants. It could have been the little Giants. It could have been the Giants I played against when I was in Pop Warner. They didn't care. They're playing to a standard there now. Now it's about perfecting their game and caring about what they do. And offensively, look, they can hit you however the hell they want to hit you. If they feel as though the running game is not something that's going to yield them the biggest bang for their buck, then they'll throw it over your head. And if they can either throw it over your head, they can hit you with the intermediate game, they can beat you with the catch and run game. If they feel as though you're soft on the edges, they'll bludgeon you with quarterback design run or RPO. And they'll hit you with a number of different backs that have very similar skill sets in terms of their speed, their elusiveness, and their power. Defensively, they can rush the passer as well as anyone as well. They have a guy named Josh Sweat who is a damn good pass rusher, man. And they have got some beef on the interior that they have bolstered with veteran acquisitions. And they have 2 corners that can lock you down and can take the ball away. I think this team really doesn't care about the opponent. They're trying to have a date with destiny, which happens to be in the Super Bowl this year. And I don't see anything stopping them besides what happened to them when they did lose to Washington. Turning the football over and shooting themselves in the foot. That's it.
Mike, they seem clearly like the class of the NFC. They have one loss. Preseason, we said front to back, this is the best roster in the NFC. Most people who were paying attention did. Bills in the AFC, Eagles in the NFC, front to back. And unlike the Bills, they've lived up to they've surpassed expectations, Mike, no?
No, they have, and they may have the MVP right now in Jalen Hurts. And why he's the MVP is he's worked on the one area that he needed to get better, guys, and that was when the ball travels 20 yards or more down the field. Last year, he had 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. This year, guys, he has 12 touchdowns and 1 INT. Now, obviously, it helps when you have a healthy Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but when you can get the ball down the field, yes, Max, that maximizes all that personnel, and maybe they've exceeded the expectations when Bills haven't, but that's why this guy is the MVP right now. He has taken a weakness, and he's turned it into a strength. And those stats right there, guys, really illustrates that point.
Yes, if we're going to do, as Rex Ryan said this morning on the radio, if we're going to do what they did with Michael Jordan in the NBA, because you don't want to give it to Patrick Mahomes every year, sure, let's pass it around so it's not, let's pretend Mahomes doesn't say, sure. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is MVP. What do you think, Lewis? Is Jalen Hurts actually the MVP of the NFL right now? I'll remind everyone, Patrick Mahomes does in fact exist.
Yeah. I put in the notes, man, when I was talking about this show, I said, look, if we're going to make this a week-to-week, award, and we're going to fluctuate all over. Yeah. Look, Jalen, you can't argue with anything Mike just said. You can't argue with anything Jalen has put on film. You can't argue with his 2022 resume. It is freaking spectacular. It really is. He is a threat in every way that you need a quarterback to be a threat. And they have loaded this roster up with him. And, Mike, you're right again. When you have, how many contested catches has A.J. Brown made down the field on plus 20-yard throws that not many wide receivers can make? But, the quarterback gets the credit for it, and it goes on his stat sheet. It goes on his plus 20-yard completion percentage stat sheet, although the wide receiver is probably more responsible for it. That's not taking anything away from Jalen. That's just, calling it out for what it is. But, yeah, he is excelling in every area. But I will say this. Patrick is still one of one. He's still the one guy who can do the kind of things that one guy can do that no one else can do. And we're going to get bored with it. We've already gotten bored with talking about it. But he will be there till the very end. To the very end in this
Mike,
MVP race.
Did you see?
No matter what.
It's like Jordan in the sense that you put your eyeballs on it, you go, never seen anything that looks like that. And then you look at the numbers and you go, yeah, that backs that up. And then he does things like the no-look, whatever you want to call it, that he made yesterday, right? And he does not have Jalen Hurts' defense, and he's the guy who lost his best wideout, where Aaron Rodgers couldn't hack it, Tom Brady without their best wideout. Tua looked much better when he got the guy. Everyone looks better. The only guy immune to that is the best player on earth, Patrick Mahomes.
I know, but a week ago I thought the question was football. The answer is Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
What about Joe Burrow?
Well, that is he's posing a difficult. And by the way, Jalen Hurts is fantastic. I don't want to hold it against him. As Harry Douglas pointed out on the radio this morning, he hasn't had a bad game. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over. He runs it. He throws it. He's just great. If Mahomes didn't exist, he'd be the MVP. Alas.
And what is Joe Burrow? He exists.
Well, he wait till the postseason, wait till the playoffs. Then we're going to find out about